The movie starts with a group of people gathered at the city hall, including Governor Sandro Correa. The governor is suspected of using state money, meant for buying hospital equipment, for his own benefit. A few days earlier, members of the Special Armed Division went to the governor's luxurious house. They didn't just visit, they searched his home and arrested him. The detectives, Miguel and Edu, were in charge of this operation. The governor was taken to an interrogation room where the agents showed him evidence of his misuse of funds. It was like a real detective showdown. In a recorded conversation, the governor threatened to harm anyone who revealed his actions, whether to the public or the police. He even tried to bribe the prosecutor's office to escape punishment. Clearly, the government was very corrupt. Shortly after, the governor's lawyer arrived. He asked about the governor's family's vacation in Miami and informed him that he had already contacted the prosecutor's office. The lawyer said the governor would stay at home until his trial. Governor Correa thought he would be free soon. He told his lawyer to prepare his personal guards because he suspected someone might target him due to the money scandal. The prosecutor's office didn't have enough evidence to keep him in jail, so they let him go home, but he had to stay there until the investigation was complete. Miguel and Edu, the Special Armed Division agents, were told by their boss that they could go home. When Miguel got home, he found his daughter asleep on the couch. He gently moved her to her bed. She woke up briefly, told him good night, and said she was proud of him for catching the bad guys. The next day, Miguel planned to take his daughter to a soccer game. But before they could go, his ex-wife came to pick her up. When Miguel got to work, his bosses told him they were shutting down his team. The case about Governor Correa's money was being transferred to the military police. Miguel had worked on that case for months, and this made him very angry. He didn't agree with his bosses but had to leave the office. Miguel about his promise to take his daughter to the soccer game. Miguel quickly went to meet her, and she was waiting with his ex-wife. Even though they were a bit late, his daughter was very excited to watch the game with her dad. They put on Brazil jerseys, took a quick group picture, and then hurried to the stadium. While they were on their way to the game, something terrible happened. Suddenly, someone shot Miguel's daughter. Miguel was in shock, but rushed her to the hospital for help. The nurses quickly took her to the emergency room and told Miguel to wait outside. Miguel was very anxious and decided to go into the emergency area. As he walked through the hospital, he saw many patients who weren't getting the care they needed. It looked like the hospital didn't have enough money or good facilities. Miguel found his daughter lying weakly in front of the operating room. The hospital was too crowded, and they didn't have enough equipment, so she had to wait her turn. Because she couldn't get treated quickly or get the blood she needed, Miguel's daughter passed away. It was heartbreaking. Shortly after, Miguel's ex-wife arrived at the hospital and was completely shocked to hear that their little girl had died. Edu felt really sorry about what happened to Miguel's daughter and wanted to help find the shooter. But Miguel had no idea where the shooter was because they were near many buildings when it happened. The person responsible could be hiding anywhere. Miguel was also very upset about how the hospital didn't have the necessary equipment to save his daughter. He believed that if the hospital had better facilities, his daughter might still be alive. He thought no one should have to suffer and be neglected like that until it's too late. In the middle of his sadness, Miguel found out that Governor Correa had been declared innocent of the money scandal. With no more legal issues, Correa announced he was running for president. He even promised to increase the budget for health and public hospitals to make life better for Brazilians. But Miguel was very angry with Correa. He saw through all the lies and empty promises. So, he joined a group of protesters at the city hall and clashed with the police. Miguel wore a mask, and someone in the crowd recorded everything. After dealing with Correa's bodyguards, Miguel finally reached the governor at City Hall. He did what he felt he had to do and ended the life of the corrupt governor who indirectly caused his daughter's death. It was a dramatic confrontation. The next day, Gomez met with his politician friends and urged them to support his son for president to replace Correa. They were all quite surprised because Gomez's son didn't seem suitable for the job. When they expressed their concerns, Gomez got angry and threatened to expose their corrupt activities to Minister Regina. A few days later, Miguel decided to return to work. He didn't want to keep feeling sad about losing his daughter. Miguel and Edu were assigned to investigate the chaos during the protest. Their team managed to arrest some people who seemed to be behind the trouble. Miguel even recognized one of the suspects, a woman he saw during the protest. To protect his identity, Miguel volunteered to question her. The woman, named Nina, was a programmer. Nina knew that Miguel was the one who fought the police during the protest. She told him she had video proof of his actions on her phone. Miguel had no choice but to let her go and retrieve her phone before his colleagues found out. Nina decided to help Miguel investigate the stolen medical funds and hospital equipment. Miguel realized he needed help, so he agreed. Nina used her skills to hack into Korea's personal laptop. They found evidence that Gomez and his politician friends were involved in the corruption. Without hesitation, Miguel decided to go after the corrupt officials and politicians responsible for his daughter's death. He wore the same mask as a disguise. It was a showdown, and Miguel didn't hold back. People started talking about the politicians being taken down. Nina, knowing Miguel was behind it, wondered if the person responsible could be seen as a hero. Later, Miguel visited Nina at her workplace and asked her to find out who was funding the campaigns of the corrupt politicians. At first, Nina wasn't interested, but Miguel offered a deal. He promised to help reduce the prison sentence for Nina's mom, who was wrongly convicted. Nina visited her mom in jail and talked about the importance of truth. Her mom had a different view, saying that truth is like an illusion because what's true for one person might not be true for another. After talking with her mom, Nina decided to help Miguel find out who was funding Korea's campaign and other corrupt politicians. It turned out to be Gomez. Nina used her hacking skills to tap into a surveillance camera system in a building where Gomez was about to meet Regina. Meanwhile, Miguel pretended to assist Edu to avoid suspicion. Edu was investigating a serial killer who was targeting corrupt officials. They called this killer the Awakener because he was like a special forces expert, skilled with weapons, leaving no traces, and killing with one hit. Miguel knew Edu was getting close to the truth, so he suggested that Edu take a break from work. After helping Edu, Miguel went off to do his own thing. Edu figured out that the Awakener's next target was Minister Marta Regina. He tried to warn Miguel and told him to go to the place where Regina was meeting Gomez. But Edu couldn't reach Miguel, so he went alone. When Edu arrived, he finally confronted the Awakener, who turned out to be Miguel. Miguel didn't want to fight Edu, so he tried to escape but got shot. He decided to call off his mission to kill Regina and fled. Miguel met Nina, who helped treat his wound. The next day, Miguel and Edu shared their investigation findings with their colleagues. They had solid evidence that Minister Regina had teamed up with Antero Gomez, who funded the corrupt politicians' campaigns. Miguel, Edu, and a team of investigators decided to dig deeper into Minister Regina's activities. However, their higher-ups soon intervened and shut down the investigation. They told them to stop looking into Minister Regina's business, hinting that their bosses might have been bribed by Gomez. Miguel was very angry about this decision and decided to handle Gomez himself. Meanwhile, at Gomez's house, he was having dinner with powerful government officials. Gomez's son was there too, feeling uneasy around these important people. He took a break and talked to his mom, confessing that he wasn't ready to be president but didn't want to disappoint his dad. Hearing his son's doubts, Gomez tried to reassure and motivate him. But Miguel was already on the move and shot Gomez's son, killing him. Miguel did this to force Gomez to confess his crimes, but surprisingly, Gomez used his son's death to gain public sympathy. He nominated himself as the new presidential candidate, replacing his son. Gomez had also been investigating the deaths of his colleagues. His lawyer, Siqueira, was looking into it. Siqueira eventually discovered that the Awakener had a partner. He mistakenly thought Nina's boss was this partner and killed him. Later, Nina arrived at her workplace and found her boss dead. Terrified, she hurried to Miguel's hiding place, unaware that Siqueira's men were following her. They attacked Miguel's hideout. In the chaos, Siqueira took Nina hostage and made a deal with Miguel to save her life. He ordered Miguel to kill another presidential candidate, Julia Machado. Miguel had no choice but to agree to Siqueira's demand to save Nina. Before long, the police arrived at Miguel's hiding spot because neighbors reported hearing gunshots. Edu and his team, who were also investigating, realized that it was the place where the Awakener had been hiding. Edu was shocked to discover that the Awakener was actually his best friend, Miguel. He found out when he came across Miguel's cell phone at the scene. Knowing that the Awakener was targeting Gomez, Edu rushed to the location of a presidential candidate debate. Miguel was also heading there to eliminate Julia. When Miguel reached the debate, He was ready to harm Julia, even though she was an honest politician. Just as he was about to pull the trigger, Edu intervened. They had a fierce fight, but both tried not to kill each other. Edu pleaded with Miguel to stop, saying that if he continued, he would be no different from the corrupt people he was fighting against. However, Miguel didn't seem to care. Meanwhile, Nina, who was being held captive by Siqueira, seized her chance when he let his guard down. She fought back and seriously injured Siqueira. Miguel was eventually arrested for the murders of the corrupt officials. Edu, hoping to change Miguel's mind, brought in Miguel's ex-wife. She tried to convince him by saying that their daughter would be ashamed of his actions and wouldn't be proud of him. While in prison, Miguel saw on TV that Gomez was gaining more public support due to his son's death. People were sympathizing with Gomez and supporting him. Just as Miguel was about to be questioned, Deputy Diaz, one of his higher-ups, tried to kill him. But Miguel turned the tables and took down Diaz instead. Miguel knew that Antero Gomez was close to becoming president. So, he made a daring escape from prison, got weapons and ammo, and prepared for revenge. Miguel rushed to the Parliament building, where Gomez and his politician friends were celebrating their temporary victory over Julia. Miguel didn't waste any time. He stormed in and took out all of Gomez's men and colleagues. When he reached Gomez in his office, Gomez tried to explain that corruption would never go away because people are naturally greedy. But Miguel had heard enough. He shot Gomez dead. After killing Gomez, Miguel found himself surrounded by Gomez's henchmen, all pointing their guns at him. But Miguel had a plan. He had planted a bomb in his car and hit the detonator. The whole building exploded, collapsing with Miguel inside. The next day, when the police and forensic experts checked the crime scene, all they found was the mask the Awakener had worn. There was no sign of Miguel's body. The movie ends with a shot of the Awakener preparing to take a shot at a target from the top of a building. It's a mystery whether this Awakener is Miguel, who somehow survived the explosion, or someone else who has taken up the mission to eliminate corrupt people. So the moral of the story is, if you're a corrupt politician, don't forget that karma can be a real drama queen with a flair for the dramatic.